All right, now, everybody. Quiet, listen to me. We're going to start a show. Now, some of you people have been with me before. You know it's going to be a tough grind, but we're going to have a show.
Everybody, it is our Big Friday show. What a presentation we have planned for you today. Maybe our best show ever.
What?
I'm not sure of it, but I think the primordial ooze of the magic is so there, baby. Yeah. Well, you know, first, how about it for Kim, everybody?
Kim, how are you?
Yeah, Kim is in the house. Do they still say in the house, Albert? I don't know. I think you've indicated to me that they still use that expression. The cool kids.
For people who want to
Albert
be
is here.
Back, you know?
Yeah,
Albert, thank you.
back from his exotic vacation. The commissioner is back in the land. Shout out to Tony for keeping things going while you were away.
Thanks, Tony.
Yeah, it really was not easy. And that was, let's face it, it was the kickoff of Mark's Madness yesterday, if you missed it. It's underway.
What?
Yeah. But it's so, the showdown for day 2 is today. We'll be putting 2 different drops up against each other for hour 1, 2 different drops up against each other for hour 2. Avila, Shure, Snyder, and Florida today. Oh, love it. Love it, love it, love it. Shout out to Steve Moskowitz, who's our sponsor. There are sponsorship opportunities on this show. We are both crowd-funded, and we also, honestly, we have a very good California and Bay Area presence on this show. Obviously, you can watch the show from anywhere in the world, but we encourage a lot of local sponsors in the Bay Area and also around California to take advantage of sponsorship opportunities. So if that's of interest to you, maybe get a little visibility for your service or your business, you can reach us at themarkthompsonshow@gmail.com. So we have a lot to do. I want to get to the Wuhan lab. I think it's not nothing that there is now evidence going the other way after there's so much sort of a trail of evidence toward the lab leak theory. It's important in terms of moving forward and handling COVID and also handling these other infectious diseases that we'll be dealing with in the future. If you haven't seen it, I guess it's now about 3 weeks old. The conversation we had with Dr. Peter Chin Hong about the coming pandemic, that there is already in the H5N1, there is already the potential for this to reach the levels of COVID. But listen to the way he puts it. I think he contextualizes it nicely, and that's really good information. So that's under our videos on our channel. I will talk about all things related to Ukraine, SVB, the bailout of First Republic. Essentially, a lot of other big kids with a lot of money banks came to the rescue of First Republic, and that's in San Francisco. The other thing that's happening in San Francisco, we'll get to this in a second, is, there was that huge pane of glass that fell. Is it 555? What was the address? I forget. It's not important. It was a huge high-rise in the financial district. Lost this immense pane of glass during the last storm. I mean, just tumbled to the street. We had the story. We had some of the video here. Well, now, it always takes a crisis, right, to bring the regulators in. Just like it's taken a crisis to bring the regulators in and have regulators and regulation discussions around these toxic trains, these bomb trains, right? It takes a crisis to bring regulators and regulation to the conversation when it comes to the banking system. And it now took this pane of glass tumbling to the street. Fortunately, no one was hurt, to bring inspectors to that building to look at the rest of the glass. So we'll get to all of that. Of course, it's Florida, so we'll do that bottom of the hour. Avila and Shure on politics and world events in the 11 o'clock hour, and Michael Snyder joins us at 11:30 or 11:35. Smash the like button like a boss. Do
Smash
it now.
it with your
Do it
iron
now
rod.
while you're thinking of it. Then you don't have to do it later. Now, probably the most exciting thing going on, it goes on every March, is something that the audience looks forward to, I look forward to, and the commissioner looks forward to. He's the commissioner of Mark's Madness. What can you tell us, Albert, about yesterday's results, please? And remind us who was up against who. What was up against what, if you would, please, sir.
Yeah, so the first in the 10 o'clock hour, we had Where My Weed Smoker's At go against Shirley Unhappy, which was a tough matchup for Shirley. But yeah, Where My Weed Smoker's At ran away with that one. It's what I call the prohibited favorite. It's like the number one seed overall.
Yeah. So, so when it's the number one seed, it means it won the tournament last year, Albert?
It did, yeah. So it's the favorite. And at 11 o'clock hour, we had We'll Do It Live, which is the O'Reilly little rant, and then Word from the Lord. And it was close, and it was actually an upset. It was a 16 versus 17 matchup. And the 17 won. It's a slight upset, but, the lower seed did win, and We'll Do It Live did advance.
Okay, so We'll Do It Live. So if you're, keeping track at home, or if you're watching your own brackets, it was We'll Do It Live advancing, and Where My Weed Smoker's At advancing to the next round. So a pretty big deal. Well, I don't think we need to delay anymore. Yeah. Let's do Mark's Madness!
Now, Mark's Madness!
And these are your way live entrants into this round. You'll vote for either. You'll vote for either.
They do this to me all the time. I don't know what the hell they do it for.
Or you'll vote for.
You can buy a Movado watch in sales.
It's either they do this to me all the time.
They do this to me all the time. I don't know what the hell they do it for.
Or
you can buy a Movado watch in sales.
And you can vote now. And how do they vote, Commissioner? Remind everyone how they vote, if you would, please.
You could go into the community tab if you're not voting right now. Like, let's say you're a replay viewer, you can watch the show and then go to the community tab and vote there. If you're in the chat right now, I'm actually finalizing the poll right now, and then right when I send the poll, feel free to vote for it.
All right. And
so I'm feeling a little sad because I went in this morning to pick my brackets, and it's been locked. The brackets picks are locked.
Oh, yeah.
Kim, how are you?
Yeah, you had till midnight last night.
Yeah, that's a fail on my part. And it shows here that almost 400 people are brackets to have the brackets, and among them, Brett Burkhart. So Brett's playing,
Kim, how are you?
And now I'm locked out. So that's great.
Well, you're locked out because you didn't respect the deadline.
Yeah, that's right.
It's like so many kids, you want it to somehow to be changed for you, and it's not. You got to play by the rules.
That sucks.
I mean, this is no picnic and no summer camp.
This is no picnic, no summer camp.
That's right. And you want to, today, if there's time, did Tony leave you the Whoopi apology, Albert? Do we have it? There's a new Whoopi apology. She apologized again for something else on The View.
Yeah.
Let me look. This is actually a personal breaking news for me.
Yeah. We had it yesterday, but we just ran out of time. So I'd love to get to it today if it's at all possible.
Even Joe Box is playing.
Joe Box is playing the tournament?
Yeah.
Yeah, Joe Box is 2-0 so far. I saw his picks. He was one of the ones at the top. He's predicting his own drop to make it to the finals and win it all. So.
Well, I respect that. You gotta support your own drop. I mean,
Joe Box and Little Anthony.
Right. But again, this hour we're voting for either Casey is the they do this to me all the time.
They do this to me all the time. I don't know what the hell they do it for.
Or the Movado watch.
You can buy a Movado watch in sales.
So you vote for one or the other. Only one goes on to the next round. So that's the way that works. Yeah.
The Mark Thompson Show.
New data is linking the pandemic's origins to raccoon dogs at the Wuhan market. This is according to genetic samples that were taken from the market and uploaded to an international database, then removed after scientists asked China about them. It was drawn, the samples from swabs taken from in and around the Hunan seafood wholesale market starting in January of 2020, shortly after the Chinese authorities had shut down the market because of suspicions it was linked to the outbreak of COVID-19. By then, the animals had been cleared out, but researchers swabbed the floors, metal cages, and carts. And in the transport cages that are used for transporting these live animals to this wet market, it's a horrible thing, but researchers swabbed the cages and found that the samples came back positive for the coronavirus.
Oh.
They found genetic material belonging to animals, including large amounts that were a match for the raccoon dog. And this is according to 3 different scientists who were involved in that analysis.
Is a raccoon dog the same as a raccoon?
This is probably something you can Google.
Google it.
I think the answer, though, if I had to guess, would be no, it's not the same. A raccoon is probably a raccoon. A raccoon dog, I'm guessing, is a raccoon dog, which is a dog.
There's a picture of a raccoon dog.
That's a raccoon dog for real?
Yeah.
Wow.
I mean, it looks like a raccoon to me, but okay.
I agree. I mean, maybe it's some kind of
It's an Asian raccoon, basically.
Okay.
From the research that I did on Google right now.
And I wanted to apologize to the Asian community.
To the Asian raccoon
community.
dog community, you want to apologize, don't you?
You do not know what you are talking about.
Well, it is true. I said I didn't know what I was talking about on that. But I think we kind of know now. So it is a variant of the raccoon.
Apparently
so Kim's not wrong.
There's a raccoon dog in Super Mario. I just learned.
Is that right?
Yeah, they call him a Tanuki Mario. So
yeah,
how Japan calls it a Tanuki.
You know what else I just learned? This is crazy. Raccoon dog pelts are sold as faux fur. That's not faux fur. That's from a real animal.
Yeah, that's a real creature.
Why do they call that faux fur?
That's brutal. Yeah. Not cool. Not cool. Inspection order expanded now for San Francisco high-rises.
You think?
Where that 43rd floor window fell. The city's now ordered an inspection of the building's facade. Facade is a ding word, by the way. As well as all the windows in 555 California. That is the address I was just saying before. And, if you missed it, as I say, we had it. It was somewhat, and we were remarking on this, bizarre that this building and its associated windows aren't structured such that they can handle wind. I mean, it's San Francisco. We get very strong winds. In addition to that, these storms that emerge during the wintertime, I mean, they typically will produce gusts that can be really quite high, and you're 43 stories up.
Yeah, but in defense, I would say that was an extraordinarily windy day, and we've never seen anything like this.
Nobody has ever put something like this together.
We've never seen anything like it before.
I have never heard of something like that.
There is nothing in our history that quite compares to this.
Have you ever seen anything like this?
Yeah,
there's never been anything like this.
All right. Yeah. Maybe you're right. Maybe you're right. When you put it that way, I guess that is.
The Mark Thompson Show.
Sometimes you got to recalibrate, I guess. In Southern California, after a major San Clemente landslide, officials are saying that the next storm could force more evacuations. 4 buildings in San Clemente have been deemed unsafe. Heavy rains caused massive landslides there along the coast. Many evacuations have been forced already. The pictures, I don't know if you've seen them. I think Kim had, either you had one or you were planning to show one. I forget which. But anyway, you see the land just, completely having eroded away, and you've got these swimming pools and outdoor pad. There it is. Yeah, you see it on YouTube right now. You've got a swimming pool right there that's, it's precariously perched right there on that slide. I mean, clearly it's going to go down.
Oh, it's on the way. It's headed down. So is that, by the way, is probably most of that house teetering on the edge of the cliff.
Yeah.
I mean, yeah.
So now they're looking at heavy rains. It's still, believe it or not, rain is still in the forecast for the next couple of days in Southern California into next week. I think the heavier rain is scheduled for next week. I mean, at least the latest forecast I saw. So they're going to have more of these issues.
Hey, if Mother Nature wants the hill, there's nothing we can do about it. It's going down.
So true. I mean, it's so magnificent to be on those hillsides and to look out over the ocean, but this is the other side of it. I mean, it's a...
and you can tell that some of these properties are apartments. So this affects a lot of people living in this area that, their homes have been red tagged. They got to get out.
Brutal.
What can you tell us about the scene?
It's a pretty brutal scene, Larry. A lot of people are going to be evacuated and affected.
I don't know. See the two people standing outside by the pool?
Yeah, one of them's wearing one of those official jackets, though. I don't think that's a resident.
I don't even think I'd stand outside. I mean, at any moment, that whole thing could crack away.
Yeah, that would be a pretty ugly video to see.
You can see in this picture that lawn furniture is already halfway down the hill.
That lawn furniture had been in our family for so many generations.
There's never been anything like this.
The lawn furniture was lost here. There's nothing they could do.
Sayonara, sucker.
Yes.
Sayonara, sucker.
Oh, there, everybody it was.
The Mark Thompson Show.
Turns out Peter Thiel had $50 million in that SVB when it went under.
That's not fake. That's real.
Told investors to pull their money out. You'll remember Peter Thiel did. This is hours before the collapse. Peter Thiel put the word out. Get your money out of SVB. He left his money in, though. And, of course, was bailed out. The venture capital firm Founders Fund, begun by Peter Thiel, moved its money to other banks. Critics are saying, we said it on this show, and I think it's been detailed in conversations with David K. Johnston, with Rothman, others, that it was the Thiel communication saying, get your money out of the bank, that really started that bank run. $42 billion bank run. But again, Thiel said to the Financial Times he had not followed his fund's own advice and had $50 million in his personal SVB account when it collapsed. But again, all of that has been backstopped by the government with the FDIC. You can call it, it's an FDIC bailout. It's not a taxpayer bailout. But the word overseas is that there's a warning about ISIS now. The ISIS communications, let me just see, I guess this is based on Intel. And now I've got an ad. Oh, geez, are you kidding?
A pop-up ad? That's always pleasant.
ISIS could hit
We're not doing a show
could hit Western interests in Europe and Asia from Afghanistan within 6 months. They're back in Afghanistan and creeping to prominence, is the report. And so this, according to the U.S. Army general, is something that we could watch both in Europe and Asia as the emergence of ISIS sort of renews that concern. ISIS-K, they're called. You know, they're rebranding as ISIS-K. It's the new ISIS. You thought the last ISIS was brutal. The new one.
There's never been anything like this.
Is that
they
like
could launch it? Yeah.
ISIS-K, like a K in Florida, an island, an oasis? What is a K?
I don't.
ISIS-K, is that like ISIS Island?
Wasn't there a drug, Albert? Something
Tonight
K?
on ISIS Island.
Tonight on ISIS Island. Kim is angry that Albert's not paying attention to her.
He really isn't.
Her plan for romance was derailed.
It's too wound up in Mark's madness to pay any attention to me.
A division of the Islamic... That's right. Kim is worried that Mark's madness is taking attention away from her. A division of the Islamic State based in Afghanistan, ISIS-K will be able to target U.S. citizens in Europe and Asia within 6 months, according to a senior U.S. general. Good times, everybody, just in time for the summer season. General Michael Kurilla, head of the U.S. Central Command, told Congress that at least hundreds of thousands of U.S. citizens, this is the way he put it, this is a quote, at least hundreds of thousands of U.S. citizens could be vulnerable to an attack by ISIS-K, which has the ultimate goal to strike on the American homeland, is what he said. The reason they call it ISIS-K is its full name is the Islamic State in Khorasan. So it's an ISIS affiliate based in Afghanistan. Actually, ISIS-K is an enemy of the Taliban.
Oh.
So, yeah. So if you're following that chess match in Afghanistan, that's the way that's going down. So even as the Taliban reemerges, so does ISIS. Because you really, in Afghanistan, don't have a central government of any kind, as you know. You have militias, you have tribes, you have essentially a balkanized environment in which nobody's really taking hold in a big way. So you don't really have the kind of strength on the part of the Taliban, even though obviously they're in control of Kabul and some of these major areas. You don't have control enough to keep the emergence of ISIS-K down, apparently. So there's that. So have a great summer in Europe, everyone. That's the latest.
The Mark Thompson Show.
All right, a word from... Oh, this is nice. Can I acknowledge a couple of super chats now, Albert, or does that derail your whole plan?
No, that's perfect. We've got quite a few, so thanks everybody for contributing. We'll get to you right now.
Yeah, it really, really is cool. Appreciate, we're crowd-funded, so we need super chats and super stickers, and we need Patreon. Patreon is a magnificent way to support this show, and so many of you have given just so generously on Patreon. All your names appear at the end of the show. If you've given to our show and you're a supporter on an ongoing basis of our show on Patreon or PayPal, your name is there on the credits at the end of the show. So big shout out to B.O.
Big shout out.
Come on, B.O. Loving Mark's Madness. And today I'm, quote, gambling on you with this super chat.
Oh, that's nice.
Still waiting to hear when Jank, the Upton Sinclair of the modern era, will be on. Hope I didn't miss it. No, you did not miss it, B.O. And I've talked to Jank, and I was actually trying to engineer it for next week, but next week is complicated because I won't be here for 3 days, but Kim will be, and then we have to do a Jank schedule. So I think it may happen in the next couple of weeks. Yeah, you can see it's there more, But thank you so much, B.O. And Jank, I agree. Jank is magnificent, and he's honest, and he'll give you clean takes on so many things. So I'll get Jank from TYT on in the next couple of weeks. Lorraine, thank you for $9.99. John as well for 10. Love it. Thank you for throwing into our virtual tip jar. Jan Carpenter, come on.
Thank
Thank you, Jan, for $20. Love it. Seems like and Kevin Hobbs, Hall of Fame. What can I say? I'm not going to cry. I'm not going to cry. Kevin Hobbs has a Hall of Fame placement on Thompson Terrace in the metaverse. 3377. Thank you, Kevin Hobbs.
Big shout
out. I'm not going to cry, Kevin.
I'm not going to cry. I'm not going to cry.
You know you could make me cry. Gail Guthrie finished Mark's Madness yesterday. Now let's see how long I last. What a week. Yeah, it really is a good job, by the way, for getting through it, because it's not easy to navigate it, I know.
Big shout out.
So, again, you can participate in Mark's Madness even if you don't have a bracket. And most of you do not have a bracket. But you can still vote. If you're watching in replay, you can vote for either one of the drops to advance. And you can vote until midnight. So there's plenty of time to do it. You just pick one or the other. Go to our channel. You'll see home. You'll see videos, you'll see live, and you'll see community. Community is what you click on, and then there they are. This hour, it's Casey.
They do this to me all the time. I don't know what the hell they do it for.
Or
you can buy a Movado watch in Sam's.
Only one of those can advance to the next round. So 2 more next hour. But thank you for playing, Gail, and we wish you luck. And of course, if you do prevail in March Madness, if your bracket is the one that collects the most points and you are crowned champion, you will, of course...
You get nothing!
Not literally nothing, but close to nothing. You get the respect and adoration, which is a ding word, of our crew. Lulu Lancaster, thanks for $10, Lulu. Love you. Thank you. Same deal with you, Walter. Aloha in Hawaii. Good stuff. Appreciate all of this. Yeah. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much.
Thank you so much. Good stuff, everyone. So here's the plan. We're going to take a break for Kim's News. We listen in rapt attention. And then when we come back, we'll be joined by former executive producer John Daly. Now he's the executive producer of his own life. And he joins on Fridays for Friday Fabulous Florida. Albert's put together another great one. Albert's been busy. I mean, just a quick note, and shout out to Albert, because Albert had days off.
Albert, thank you.
But let me just say this, even as I give him a shout out and thanks, Albert, as the commissioner, how could you be off for the kickoff of March Madness?
Well, I planned this like last month, so totally forgot that this started around this time. I have another gig, so that other gig's been kicking my butt a little bit. So I made it as a little gift, and it just happened to be at the beginning of March Madness. I also was surprised that I was like, of course, the days I planned off were the kickoff.
I think what you mean to say is, my bad. I'm sorry.
Well, he did do something.
My bad. I'm sorry.
He beamed in from wherever he was to actually kick it off. So it was pretty
cool. Yeah.
Anyway, Albert's busy with Florida and also with March Madness and riding herd over everything.
Albert, thank you.
Yeah, nice job, Albert. Smash the like button like a boss.
Smashed it with your iron rod.
Kim's News in Florida after that. Yeah. Mark Thompson Show. Mm-hmm.
The Mark Thompson Show.
On the Mark Thompson Show, I'm Kim McAllister. This report sponsored by tax attorney Steve Moskowitz at 888 Tax Deal. Let's start with Silicon Valley Bank. You heard Mark talking about it. Now, President Biden is calling on Congress to toughen penalties for executives at failed banks. In a statement, the president said it should be easier for regulators to claw back compensation, impose civil penalties, and ban executives from working in the banking industry if their mismanagement causes the institution to fail. President Biden asked Congress to expand the FDIC's authority to do so. This coming after the failures of Silicon Valley Bank and Signature Bank. President Biden saying he is firmly committed to holding those responsible accountable.
The only thing I would say about that is that this is oddly not likely a situation in which there was a management issue, meaning you see a bank that put a bulk of their holdings into long-term T-bills. I mean, that's not exactly a risk. It's not like they put all their money in crypto. That's not a risky investment, long-term T-bills. What happened was the Fed raised the Fed fund rate so quickly that those T-bills, and everybody knows this by now, it's been reviewed, had not little or no value, but the asset of those T-bills had much less value. And then the run on the bank, though, wasn't because of the management. The run on the bank was because of Thiel and his bros, as I was pointing out to you. So that's why the fact that Thiel had left money in was kind of noteworthy in the last few minutes. We were pointing that out. But it's interesting, Kim. I think, you want to we're going to get to the people who are responsible for this. This is not like the train derailment, This is a different kind of situation. So the people responsible for this, the banking system, all I can say, and then I'll shut up about this, is that regulators did step in and put regulations on the banking system that were rolled back during the Trump administration, and that SVB, and I will say this, they campaigned to have rolled back. So all these banks want less regulation, but then they want the government to come in when they are teetering on collapse. So to that extent, I think there is responsibility to be owned by management. But in this case, I just don't see it as as a management failing per se. But maybe I'm reading it wrong.
I was reading this article last night in Fortune, and it said for nearly 2 months, a short seller was warning on Twitter that Silicon Valley Bank was about to blow up. He said it was sitting there in plain sight for 2 months. And that's because he said they had their balance sheet issues. He said they had a lot of unsecured investments. And he said it was obvious to him.
Well, I mean, I would ask, what were the unsecured investments? I get that the investments they had were no longer secured by assets that maintained any value. Those T-bills did not maintain value because they were yielding 1% and change, and the Fed funds rate had already well exceeded that. So as a piece of paper, it's not really of any value to investors. So, but apart from that, I don't see how their balance, I mean, I get how their balance sheet doesn't pencil out, but I don't see beyond that. No, I'll have to, will you push that to me, the Fortune piece?
Yeah, I'll send it to you. It's an interesting article. I mean, it's just one guy saying it, but he did call it 2 months before the bank, fell apart. So I don't know.
Well, and I'd love to discuss it next week. This isn't going away. We'll continue to bring in experts on this as well. I mean, economists and those with perspectives that I think could, shed some light on this. So thank you.
Yeah, let's get on to this guy because I picked this picture on purpose. There you go. There's Vladimir Putin. He's got an arrest warrant issued now for him over the war in Ukraine. The International Criminal Court issuing the warrant. It accuses Vladimir Putin of war crimes as it centers around the war in Ukraine. As it centers around kids being deported and others being transferred from Ukraine to Russia, Putin's presidential commissioner for children's rights is accused of similar crimes. In light of the warrant being issued, the court said it's mindful that this conduct is allegedly ongoing. I don't know if how easy it is to arrest Vladimir Putin, but he's got a warrant issued.
I'm guessing it's not easy.
No, it's not easy. Not easy, no. This is of course, East Palestine, Ohio, train derailment. And there is a bill being introduced in the Senate that would provide financial assistance to first responders caught in hazardous material disasters like seen here, the toxic train derailment in East Palestine. Pennsylvania Senators Bob Casey and John Fetterman, along with Ohio Senator Sherrod Brown, introducing the bill. The lawmakers said a fund would be financed through payments by companies that ship and carry these hazardous materials. New developments in California's fight for abortion rights. A new bill aims to protect doctors who treat women traveling to other states or living temporarily there. That includes mailing them medication to end their pregnancies. Senator Nancy Skinner is behind the push, calls it essential health care. The Legislative Women's Caucus has also unveiled a package of bills. One would keep all information shared on private apps. Another would prevent police from looking at a person's search history. So, especially the one that protects doctors here in California who treat women traveling to other states or temporarily living there. That could be huge.
This
Utah
is an
governor,
amazing rolling back of progress. These hard right conservative, they call themselves Christian conservatives, lawmakers, judges. It's an affront to everyone who lives in America. I mean, we really are past this, and that we roll back the rights of women to control their own body. It's outrageous. It's just so it's so medieval, and now going after those who even search for have search histories that would suggest they are looking into abortions. I don't know, Kim. It's I really, and now with the real threat, we discussed it yesterday.
That's why I love you, Mark Thompson. That's why, right there. Yes, exactly what you said.
I knew there was a reason.
A cheers, a clink of champagne. You got it exactly right. Yes. Okay, on to the teens and the social media. Utah Governor Spencer Cox will sign a bill requiring social media companies to verify that users are 18 or older to open an account. Cox told reporters he absolutely will sign the measure and is willing to face any legal challenges. Under this bill, those in Utah that are younger than 18 would only be able to open a social media account with a parent or guardian's permission. Cox said he'll be working with social media companies and third-party verification over the next year to work out the details of implementing the restrictions. That'll be interesting. The state of California taking some new action to get homeless people off the streets. 1,200 small homes, tiny homes, will be delivered to Los Angeles, San Diego County, San Jose, and Sacramento. The priority will go to those living in encampments. Governor Gavin Newsom gave the update on the first stop of his 4-city tour. He says the crisis of homelessness will never be solved without first solving the crisis of housing. Look at those tiny little homes.
Yeah, they're cute.
They are.
I hope it's our homeless situation is so unwieldy. I just hope that they in some way address it. I don't know, but clearly there is a problem with supply of places for people to live. So maybe this will address it.
Here he is. You know this guy. Restrictions are being lifted on former President Trump's YouTube account. Here he comes. He's after you, Mark.
Oh my God!
They were put in place after the Capitol riot.
Yeah, right.
That means his account can now post new videos.
Well, I'll tell you what. Well,
there's never been anything like this.
I'm guessing we're going to hear a lot that we've already heard. He's really cranked up the hate machine, man. He is, his rhetoric is really hateful. Because I was watching some of what was said and reading about some of what was said at CPAC, and that guy, he was the headliner. And he is really, he's full of some hate.
Yeah,
he's not a happy guy.
No, perfect picture for that, I think.
Yeah.
Here's a happy little place.
The Washington radical left, crazy Democrats.
Yeah, that's it. Okay.
Okay, Finland. We're off to Finland. Finland's bid to join NATO getting a big boost. That is because Turkey has approved of the move nearly a year after Finland and Sweden both applied for membership in the alliance following the start of Russia's war in Ukraine. Despite this, Finland's bid isn't totally a sure thing, as Hungary still hasn't approved of it yet. There is, in Colorado, a situation. What we have here is a situation.
Oh, wow.
What he's got going here is a situation.
Oh,
it's a Colorado couple facing charges after a door-to-door salesman triggered a booby trap near the entrance of their home south of Denver. Who booby traps their house? The Douglas County Sheriff's Office says the salesman stepped on a tripwire at the home last week. The motion triggered a loud bang and a bright light that left the man with a headache and constant ringing in his ears. And so the couple that lives in the house that booby trapped their own house now facing charges.
Yeah, that is pretty wild. Yeah.
You would think you should be allowed to booby trap your own house if you wanted to, but
well,
okay.
I mean, it's
ooh, it's a wild idea, but it just might work.
I do, yeah.
I mean,
all houses should be booby trapped. Maybe
perhaps they didn't want a door-to-door salesman on their porch.
Sure.
Perhaps they saw him approach.
Are there door-to-door salesmen anymore? That really is that's a lost American.
The magazine
job,
people do that.
I think.
Really? Yeah, you don't get the magazine salespeople.
Well, I do. I've actually signed up. It's very hard to for me. I can't say no to anybody. It's very hard for me not to. So I think they've and the magazines never come. No, it's absolutely a great scam.
It's a total scam.
Nothing.
Absolutely. You get nothing.
You get nothing.
I think 50, 75, 125 one time. Yeah.
And they're very aggressive about it too.
Well, they're good. They're good salespeople. Yeah.
They do this to me all the time. I don't know what the hell they do it for.
They can't get over my huge wall and my and the moat around the Thompson estate now.
Eric writes in, I'm trying to click on his thing. He writes in, the sign said no solicitors, okay? No solicitors. You step on the tripwire, pal, it's your own damn fault. Read the sign. This report sponsored by tax attorney Steve Moskowitz. For more than 30 years, Steve has put his tax knowledge to work for individuals and for businesses. If you need help with your taxes, you can call Steve. He's at 888-TAX-DEAL and MoskowitzLLP.com. I'm Kim McAllister on The Mark Thompson Show.
They had to close down an entire radio station to silence him. And now, he's here. Ladies and gentlemen, Mark Thompson. The Mark Thompson Show.
My wife wants some vegetables for crudité.
I was a basketball referee.
Feels great, baby.
Use Mark Thompson. It's unbelievably offensive.
What he's got going here is a situation.
I was fortunate. Everyone I worked with made me better at my job.
You are a cover-up artist, and you are a liar.
What up, everybody? It is our Big Friday show, and we are in the middle, as you might imagine, as we always are this time of year, of Mark's Madness!
Mark's Madness!
Tell me what's up, Albert. You're the commissioner. What are we looking at? Where is the voting? This hour, it's either...
You know, they do this to me all the time. I don't know what the hell they do it for.
Or...
You can buy a Movado watch in sales.
Only one goes to the next round, Albert. Can you update the voting, or is it too early still?
It looks pretty bleak for the Movado watch guy.
Oh, no! Movado watch may not make it. You have till midnight tonight. You have till midnight tonight to vote in the community section of our YouTube channel. So definitely jump on that.
And in the chat right now, you could vote in the chat right now during the live show for the this 10 o'clock hour. Then I'm going to start the 11 o'clock hour, obviously, at 11. So,
and the 11 o'clock hour, you'll also be able to vote in YouTube, as you've been able to do that here. Meaning,
yes.
In
the live chat and in the community tab, it'll be both available at 11 o'clock.
Okay, cool. I'm wearing my Mark's Madness hat to conceal my cadaverous pallor. The fact that I am chalk white. I am ghostly. I don't know. Believe me, in person, I'm not quite this ghostly. I don't know why I come. It's lighting, obviously, but we have messed with it all. But anyway, my point is the
Mark's
hat.
so white?
Yeah, Mark's so white. Good times, everybody. Good times. All right. So, I want to do what we do on Fridays. First, if I can, I'd like to welcome in the guy who used to be the mother's milk of Friday Fabulous Florida. He used to be the guy who put it together when he was producing this show. How about former executive producer John Daly, everyone?
Yay!
Welcome, John Daly.
Hello.
Yeah, he got
and
out
I want
of
to thank
Shawshank,
Albert for
like
doing all
say.
the work.
Yeah, Albert does all the work. Albert, insanely busy week for Albert this week. Gotta say, really.
Yeah, and Albert doesn't like that kind of thing. You know, you got to set the bar.
Yeah, he likes to set the bar low, but he's crushing it. He's crushing it this week. So he does get it done. You know.
Well, sorry, I just got back. I was inspecting my windows.
Yeah.
Here in San Francisco. Do you know who is an owner of 555 California?
No, I do not.
The Trump Organization.
Oh, somebody mentioned that in the chat yesterday, I believe. Yeah.
There's never been anything like this.
They cut corners and went cheap on the building. Is that what you're trying to say?
I don't think they were using the expensive glue.
Right. Wow. That is right on brand for them, I have to say. Yeah.
That's not
well,
fake.
Let's do it.
That's real.
Love having you here. You have a bracket for Mark's Madness, don't you, John
Yeah, it was
Daly?
weird. I was looking through the list. I didn't see Kim.
Okay.
What?
Thank you. I did see that you
I
were
thought
playing.
she was part of the show. That's weird.
You know, she...
Kim, how are you?
I did...
That's it. I quit.
My bad. I'm sorry.
All right, let's do some Florida.
It's time for Friday Fabulous Florida.
There is a gigantic alligator in my kitchen.
A look at the weirdest stories from our weirdest state.
Feel free to chime in anytime on the chat. But here we go. A Florida man leaves his DUI manslaughter trial.
No.
For lunch, and he doesn't come back. Hey, it's a wild idea,
but it just might work.
And it did work.
Wait, did he leave in his car?
He left. It's a pretty grim story. You can imagine DUI manslaughter, right? The guy was driving drunk and he killed people. All right, killed 3 people actually. So he's on trial. Zachary Waldo, 36 years old, and apparently he during the trial left for the lunch break and just didn't come back. Again. No further news as to where they are searching for Zachary Waldo. I'm guessing they found him,
Check the bars.
Yeah.
Right. Near the courthouse.
You know, I was a juror on a DUI case.
And?
Guilty. Guilty.
Yeah. Long deliberation or not?
No.
What was
guilty? Guilty. It didn't help that his lawyer wore a bow tie.
Oh, yeah.
Did not help. Did not help.
This guy killed a parent and a 13-year-old daughter.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah. I skipped over that part because I thought it was a little grim, but you're right.
Sorry.
I mean, it's totally part of it.
I always like to bring the show down, you know.
Yeah. First, she doesn't do a bracket.
Are you sorry?
And then she brings
Is it
that up.
your bad?
My bad. I'm sorry.
Indeed, I am sorry. Yes.
I said it was DUI manslaughter. We knew people died.
Yeah.
I don't need to know exactly how pathetic the whole situation was.
Well, the guy had evaded arrest for a long time.
Why are you yelling?
It's not a surprise that he would try to skip out on penalty, right?
I agree. I consider it a little in the obvious category. Yeah.
He's like, can I get this parking validated?
The Def Leppard drummer Rick Allen is attacked by a teenager outside of his Florida hotel. You'd think at the Four Seasons Hotel in Fort Lauderdale, you'd be safe, but you'd be wrong.
Four Seasons Hotel or Four Seasons Landscaping?
It's Four Seasons Hotel in Fort Lauderdale Beach, Florida. He was smoking at the valet stand, and a teenager was hiding behind a pole. Charged him, this 59-year-old drummer, at full speed, according to reports. Allen fell and hit his head on the ground, causing injury, according to the reports.
Oh, no.
Max Edward Hartley, 19 years old, was arrested and charged with 2 counts of battery. There he is.
Wait, he's 19?
No, the drummer,
that's
Rick
the drummer.
Allen.
Yeah.
Like, whoa, hard life.
Yeah, tough one. A woman came out from the hotel to try and help, and Hartley allegedly attacked her when she was just trying to, again, help get Allen to his feet, knocked her down. When she attempted to escape by running into the hotel, the suspect apparently dragged her by the hair back outside. Oh. Then he fled the scene. I mean, that's pretty...
What can you tell us about the scene?
What can you tell us about the scene?
And she fled it, Larry. She's left the scene. Hartley was arrested after he went to a nearby hotel and allegedly damaged numerous vehicles in a parking garage there.
So are we thinking drugs or alcohol?
It feels druggy to me, doesn't it?
Yeah, hiding behind a pole.
I guess it doesn't seem like a good hiding place, but apparently it worked. So
I like how that's what sold it to John. You know, it was the pole. It wasn't the attack. It wasn't the cars. It was him hiding behind the pole.
Yeah.
Well, it's very Florida. It's like hide and seek, like meth hide and seek.
Yes, no one will see me behind this pole.
Right.
It wasn't well, here's one for you. Guy at a massage parlor in Florida holds a worker at gunpoint and demands a sex act. Yeah. Timothy Paul Taylor's his name. He's 35 years old. He was at A1 Massage in Eustis.
That's supposed to be a really good place.
It's fantastic.
Okay. Well, he went in through the back door, hold for joke, and he asked this woman to perform oral sex. And when she told him the business doesn't engage in that sort of activity, he pulled out his, if you guessed gun, and there was another guess, but I'm glad you guessed gun, you can give yourself points. He pointed a gun at her head and ordered her to do it. She stood firm. And
so did he.
No.
Good day, sir.
Yeah.
There he is, sneaking in the back door.
Yeah. He threatened to kill her if she called the cops. He fled in a small black Chevy. That's the ride of choice among those who have held massage parlor workers at gunpoint. The woman was uninjured, but called the cops from a neighboring business, and they got this guy. Good. He, as I say, 35 years old. He's going to be going away, for a little while. A Florida man serving a 400-year prison sentence walks free. This is a happy story. he was exonerated of the charge he was originally convicted for. A man who served more than 3 decades of 400 years, that was to be his sentence. Armed robbery was the charge. He was freed this week after being exonerated. Sidney Holmes, 57, was convicted for a robbery in which he was accused of being the getaway driver. I know that I said this is a happy story, but it doesn't feel like a happy story because this poor man was locked away for so long, you know.
Were you ever a getaway driver? I feel like you would be the getaway driver.
I feel like I drive like a getaway driver, but I'm not really getting away from anything.
Well, that's
I'm usually
what I hear,
getting.
yeah.
I'm trying to get towards something. You know.
You know, those Teslas have a lot of torque.
They do. They do. It's Torqueville. We have one rule here at Broward State Attorney's Office, said the state attorney. Do the right thing, always. As prosecutors, our only agenda is to promote public safety in our community and to ensure that justice is served. This is according to the Broward State Attorney Harold F. Pryor. I commend the victims, witnesses, and law enforcement officers for their candor and assistance in reinvestigating this crime that occurred more than 34 years ago. Yeah.
You shouldn't have to pay taxes like for the rest of your life. You should get like a really good gift basket. Something. Right? Shouldn't you get something?
What?
Yeah, you should get a gift basket.
Sorry, not to make
How would you
light of it.
We could try ignoring it, sir.
Yeah, what you get is a statement of apology, really.
What you get as a lawyer and turn around and sue for the lost 34 years of your life, and then you walk away with millions.
Yeah. Well, I actually know someone who was put away for a long time for murder, and then he was acquitted by the Innocence Project taking up his case and bringing it forward again. And he's still waiting for the state money, and it's been like 9 years. I mean, Kim's right. You sue for it, or it's built into the system that you get a certain amount for each day that you were wrongly incarcerated,
right.
But then the state is slow walks. This is the state of California. Yeah. Slow walks paying you back. Well, Florida.
Oh, they have no problem grabbing your money out of your bank account when you file your taxes.
How about an avocado assault? That's right.
What?
A 39-year-old Florida woman arrested for hurling an avocado at her 68-year-old boyfriend. Wow, 68-year-old going out with a 39-year-old. It's strong, very strong.
Wow.
Carlene Biswanger was charged with battering a victim age 65 or older. Yeah, that's the problem with dating a guy who's 68. It's a felony in Florida to batter those people. And she's actually, she's a cute gal, you know. Again, a little loose with the avocados.
Is there a lesser charge if the avocado's ripe? Does that become a misdemeanor?
Yeah, you're right. So it doesn't do as much damage.
Yeah.
Right. There she is. She doesn't look so cute in that picture.
Charming.
Maybe a little cuter in that picture, smiling.
Got an arm on her.
She threw an avocado at the victim's face, causing injury to his right eye, according to the police report. She also allegedly threw a hanging rod at the victim, striking him in the arm and causing injuries there.
Was it an iron rod?
It was not an
with your iron rod.
The attack was witnessed by a neighbor, but Biswanger denied striking her battered beau with the piece of fruit. And
you're supposed to smash your avocado with the rod.
Yeah, not the right. Give me an alligator story, you're saying. All right, here you go.
Oh, thank God.
An 11-foot, 400-pound alligator found in a Florida woman's pool. 11 feet. It was Stone Island in Florida. This woman had the shock of her life. She looked at her pool, found a 400-pound, 11-and-a-half-foot alligator swimming in that pool. Fish and Wildlife called, trappers called, and they have quite the division of white vans that go around and wrap these various creatures up, hopefully rehome them and don't do anything too bad to them. But this is a big, big alligator, probably 11 feet. They think that the gator busted through the screen of the patio after coming out of the woods and then ended up in the pool. He came in at 11 feet, 6 inches and weighed more than 400 pounds, according to trappers.
Well, we know they can climb fences. We learned that here.
That's right.
Yeah.
Florida beaches could be dealt. Oh, there it is. I mean, that is a huge creature. The warm weather, experts say, has alligators looking for food and for love. That is for, their mating. Yeah. They're becoming a little more active.
With your iron rod.
He wants to go to ISIS K.
Oh, my God. It's
what do you call it? ISIS Island?
ISIS Island.
Stop picking on Brett.
No, it's not Brett. It's the creature. I thought it was a stuffed animal, she said.
Wait, put that picture back up.
Where are my weed smokers at?
Yeah,
you're not going to confuse that for an inflatable.
Yeah, that is a huge creature.
I thought it was a stuffed animal.
Sadly, I must tell you they euthanized this creature. I wasn't going to say it. I know, but I couldn't resist.
Usually that's Kim's job to bring us down.
Yeah, I'm sorry. I don't
know what you're thinking.
I was really taking your gig there, Kim. Sorry about that.
Kim, how are you?
All right. Florida beaches could be dealt a 1-2 punch of red tide and giant seaweed blob.
Oh.
Right.
What?
It's, and this is some of their most popular beaches. Again, thousands of spring breakers going to Florida, and a toxic algae bloom known as the red tide is already killing fish along the Gulf Coast, causing a stench. Now there's a massive blob of seaweed, twice as wide as the United States, and it's drifting across the Atlantic. It could wash ashore in the coming weeks.
I thought you were going to say they're killing spring breakers. I was thinking maybe the problem could kind of solve itself.
Yeah, in the movie, they kill spring breakers.
Yeah.
It could be two problems turning into a bigger one, said Mike Parsons, a marine science professor at Florida Gulf Coast University. The algae bloom has essentially choked some sea life, producing a foul smell as dead marine animals wash ashore.
Barf.
It's not the only effect. The ocean breeze can carry a toxin released by that red tide algae, and then that comes ashore. That can cause health problems for people, coughing, irritated throat, itchy eyes, as well as difficulty breathing and asthma attacks. Wow, that's pretty.
Ask your doctor.
In order, you get extra points.
Ask your doctor if algae is for you.
Wow.
Do you think that's what ISIS Island looks like?
That is
toxic fumes.
That is a pretty brutal scene, I have to say it. I mean,
what can you tell us about the scene?
It's pretty brutal, Larry, with the toxic bloom, and you got this big blob floating in. A Florida murder suspect prays with the sergeant outside of the church after the arrest. The Florida murder suspect is arrested at church Sunday morning, and before he was hauled off to jail, he shared a prayer with the sergeant who busted him.
Isn't that like a great way to escape, though? Let us pray, and then all of a sudden,
idea, but it just might work.
Yeah,
yeah.
That's the moment you click the cufflink locks and you get away.
Yeah, you're right. I mean,
and it's not any other sheriff too. The person that he was with, it was actually our favorite.
What he's got going here is a situation.
Oh my
Grady
God,
Judd.
Albert. Very strong. Sheriff Judd was at the church Sunday because he was a guest speaker at the service. Man.
There's a reason that this place is fun.
Dear Lord, what you have here is a situation.
What he's got going here is a situation.
Skeen is accused of fatally shooting one of his friends during an altercation. Well, that's typically when people are shot. There's the suspect. And he and his pal were on a fishing trip at the time of the deadly gunfire. You know, those fishing trips can turn really ugly, Kim.
Yeah.
Well, are you willing to bet your lunch?
I'm guessing yes.
I'd be willing to bet my lunch that there's alcohol
There
involved.
was alcohol involved in this, is what I'm guessing. Yes, indeed. What should have been a fun fishing trip with great memories turned into a tragic weekend. You can always count on the sheriffs down there to...
Why can't you boys just get along?
That this place is fun.
Uh-huh. Wow. Well, they throw in a prayer and then off to the clink. And that's Friday Fabulous Florida for today.
This has been Friday Fabulous Florida.
There is a gigantic alligator in my kitchen.
Y'all come back now here.
We don't We don't like to do it, but we have to do it. The bylaws of the Mark Thompson Show require that we pick a favorite from the Florida list. Let me just remind you what you've heard, and you can pick one. Feel free to share your thoughts in the chat. Florida man getting his DUI manslaughter trial done, and at lunch, he left and never came back. Def Leppard drummer Rick Allen was attacked outside his Florida hotel there at the Four Seasons in Fort Lauderdale. A Florida man allegedly held a massage worker at gunpoint demanding a sex act. She said no dice, and he fled. Florida man serving a 400-year prison sentence finally walks free after being exonerated on the robbery charge. He didn't, as it turns out, drive the getaway car. Florida beaches could be dealt a 1-2 punch of red tide and giant seaweed blobs coming ashore. And the woman from Florida allegedly assaulting her boyfriend with an avocado in a Florida senior community. An 11-foot, 400-pound alligator found in the Florida woman's pool. She thought it might have been a stuffed animal. And a Florida murder suspect praying with the sergeant that arrests him and takes him to jail. That is your list. We must pick a favorite. I will ask first you, visiting producer John Daly.
I like the prayer. I kind of like avocado, but that's probably because I'm hungry. I think I got to go with DUI early checkout, express checkout.
DUI early, when he goes for lunch and never comes back. All right. Okay. Kim, how about you?
Gator in the pool.
Gator in the pool. Very Florida. Can't argue. I would say that the gator in the pool needed maybe something more of a confrontation to really vault it ahead, but I
maybe
think you're
a machete.
Right.
Yeah. They found a machete at the scene.
Right.
At the same time.
Or a meth pipe, something.
Yeah, it would be nice if meth was included, but it isn't. So I'll just take the gator. Yeah.
But I would say in Kim's defense, or in defense of that choice, I think 11 feet, over 11 feet, does vault it into another category.
Yeah.
Albert, what do you think, Commissioner?
Anytime Sheriff Grady Judd is involved, I'm a fan. So I'm
you like the prayer?
The prayer service with Grady.
Yeah.
There's a reason that this place is fun.
I think this is actually a very tough one because there are a lot of very good entries. I'm kind of with Kim that the 11-footer in the Florida woman's pool is pretty strong.
It's not very original, though. We've seen it. I think we've seen this before.
It's true, but it still doesn't happen in other places. It's a uniquely Florida story, even if it's a repetitive one.
I think that the DUI guy skating at lunch, DUI manslaughter guy skating at lunch probably is strong. But I feel as though Kim has endured a lot of abuse for not participating in Mark's Madness. So it's almost a sympathy support vote that I throw toward the alligator in the pool.
Okay.
Yeah,
wouldn't you say it's self-inflicted?
Yeah.
On Kim's part? Yeah.
It was wrong, it was stupid, and I'm trying to be a better person.
By the way, I'm still in it. This last year, I was immediately out, but I'm still in it.
Oh, yeah. Well, so far, the first couple have not been too tough to call, I'd suggest. But
thank you for downplaying.
Diminishing your...
diminishing it.
I wouldn't peacock yet, okay? But
hey, I changed my strategy this year. Instead of picking my favorites, I'm picking the ones I think will win.
No, that is the way you should do it.
Right, because a lot of these drops were my babies, like processes, protocols, and standards.
Sure, and that process, protocols, and standards will lose right away.
We have processes and protocols
not going to
and
survive.
But I'm taking seriously what the fuck deep.
Oh,
okay, now
deep.
I gotta.
What the fuck deep?
Hey, John, love seeing you. We'll see you next Friday. We'll see how your brackets are doing then. Okay. All right. John Daly, everybody. Yeah.
Hi, John Daly.
Bye.
All right. I got to do a quickie newscast because I've got Avila and Shure waiting to go.
Why don't we just blow it off and then we'll come circle back around?
Are you okay with that?
Yeah.
Albert, you're the producer.
Those cute guys up here.
Are you?
I am okay with that. We'll just take a short little break. We'll hit a nice little bumper, then we'll come back.
Let me hit one of these bumpers. Let me see what this is. I don't even know what this is, man. Let's try this. Here we go. All right, yeah. Let's take a short little break on a little bumper and come right back. Woohoo!
The Mark Thompson Show.
Who's Mark Thompson?
I stand corrected.
I misspoke. My words upset so many people. My bad. I'm sorry.
Y'all can all go to hell, and I'm going back to Texas.
Joe Fish, Sal the Shoemaker, Joe Box, and Little Anthony.
What he's got going here is a situation. There's a reason that this place is fun.
Someone did this to spoil our Christmas.
I have never heard of something like that.
There is nothing in our history that quite compares to this.
Nobody has ever put something like this together that I've ever seen.
We've never seen anything like it before.
I have a busy week.
I think I'm the most honest human being, perhaps, that God ever created.
God bless America. The end.
Girl, you just woo.
Do I hit it long? Is Trump strong? Huh?
Who is having that conversation?
How would you handle this? We could try ignoring it, sir.
The science is ridiculous.
It's fantastic.
This is a word from the Lord, and he's not happy.
Where are my weed smokers at?
Isn't anybody but a weed?
It was wrong, it was stupid, and I'm trying to be a better person.
Seriously, what the?
Yeah, what up, everybody? It is our big Friday show. And I must tell you, we're in the middle of a lot of stuff. We had Friday Fabulous Florida. Thank you for all of you who participated quite generously. And I also am in the middle of something that is, well, it rolls around this time of year every year. And it is...
I can't believe it! Mark's Madness!
I'd like to remind everybody, you can vote until midnight tonight on the YouTube community area. This one is a tough one. Oh, this is interesting. Do you have the Avila thing, or this is? Let me let this play out, and then I'll play the choices for you. One of them is Jim Avila, who's going to join us next.
Yep.
Yeah. You do have it, Albert?
I do have it. Yep.
Oh, okay. All right. So the again, you'll vote for one of these two. So Albert.
Ma'am, I'm on the phone.
Ma'am, I'm on the phone.
Ma'am, I'm on the phone.
One more time. Let me hear it.
Ma'am, I'm on the phone.
Yeah. Or, of course, the producer has no idea what he's doing. What is that? The producer has no idea what he's doing. Do you have that, Albert?
Is producing this thing has no idea what they're doing.
Yeah. Do you have both of them, or do you just have the one?
I only have Ma'am, I'm on the phone. I have a very weird relationship with that producer job.
Okay.
Ma'am, I'm on the phone.
Ma'am, I'm on the phone, or the producer has...
Whoever is producing this thing has no idea what they're doing.
Either Ma'am, I'm on the phone, or whoever is producing this thing has no idea what he's doing. So it's producer or Ma'am, I'm on the phone. Only one goes to the next round. Good luck.
And I may sign into my other account and vote for this one, so I'll be right back. I'll enjoy the interview.
Albert doesn't want the producer drop to go to the next round, but I think it very well may, so we'll see. All right, let's get going.
The Mark Thompson Show.
How about it on Fridays? They give generously of their time. Michael Shure, who's forgotten more about politics than most of us will ever know. Hi, Michael Shure.
Hey, how are you, All over America, I call in. I've been on this show for, longer than you've been on this show, Mark. And I don't even have an entry in Mark's Madness. I got to work on it this year.
Well, I thought you did.
Mike, I got your picks. I'll be monitoring every.
No, he means a drop. He means a drop.
I don't have a drop. Yeah. I mean, it's embarrassing.
Well, I'll tell you what. It's funny you say this because we had a drop that is Michael Short. I'll give it to you right now.
We'll just look to next year.
Yeah, but it's in the NIT.
Yeah, it's no. It's here.
It's in the NIT.
Again. We'll just look to next year and pretend this didn't happen.
And that is the drop that we almost. It just never caught fire for us. You know what I mean?
It made the NIT.
It made the NIT. Well, anyway,
we'll just look to next year and pretend this didn't happen.
Maybe that is the word that we have to live by in terms
I'll have
of
to say some more exciting things this year.
Yeah, I mean the ma'am, I'm on the phone.
We'll just look to next year.
Is pretty strong. You gotta admit.
Ma'am, I'm on the phone.
Yeah. So.
Yeah, and that's me too. I mean, that just made it in.
Yeah.
That's a new entry.
And I helped to make that famous. Like I repeated it during that time. I'm helping Jim Avila get into the tournament, and it cost me a spot.
It is true. Well, ma'am, he's on the phone.
Ma'am, I'm on the phone.
How about it for the former senior correspondent, longtime White House correspondent at ABC? We're so excited to have Jim Avila with us. Hi, Jim.
Good morning.
Jim, you do have the key drop, kind of I would say it'd be a Cinderella story if you were to move on.
Ma'am, I'm on the phone.
Yeah, that was recent, wasn't it?
It was
good.
just, it was just last
I didn't want
week,
to sound
think.
rude. I hope the nurse didn't go crying away, but she's just trying to help me.
Exactly.
But it's really weird when you're in the hospital.
She's fine because
she's famous. When I was in the hospital, the nurses are very nice. They come in. But no matter what you're doing, I was having a conversation with a friend who was visiting. Doctors come in, and because they're wearing that white coat, they will interrupt and just walk in and start talking to you. And it's like, hello, I'm having a conversation here. You could introduce yourself.
They do this to me all the time. I don't know what the hell they do it for.
God, a month in the hospital has made me an angry man. I'm sorry.
Well, we're so glad you're out now. And you're able to, you're able to participate in life.
That's
I'm on the phone.
Yeah, really is good. Well, it's funny. I sent, I normally just push things that I thought might be of interest that we want to touch on. I push the something to Michael and to Jim, and Jim snaps back at me because he doesn't want to talk about whatever. It was an international story. I just thought it was interesting.
I
said,
goes,
what is this?
What is this? PBS? They talk about foreign relations.
Yeah, I thought the changing state of America in relation to foreign powers and where that's all settling out is interesting. But
you should invite Fajid Sakara on your show. Because I'm not him.
Right.
Wow.
Good point.
Okay.
If I ever go back to work for Al Jazeera, Mark, I can come in and do that for
you. Thank you. Well, I'm a bit embarrassed.
How would you handle this? We could try ignoring it,
yeah,
sir.
We'll ignore it, and we'll get into and Jim actually responded with, I think, some intriguing stories of his own. One of which is related to foreign powers and foreign nations, but in relation to donations made to President Donald Trump. This is, I think it was sort of the coin of the realm during his administration, that a lot of money was funneled into Trump properties, and it was a way to curry favor with that family. But this is even distinct from that, because these are donations that we knew about. Isn't that kind of more or less the situation, Jim?
Yeah, and they can't find two of them. One of the gifts is a set of golf clubs, of course, and another is a life-size picture of Donald Trump. Now, he took those, right? He's supposed to leave them. You're supposed to leave them and catalog them. Those are not gifts to the person. Those are gifts to the country, to the president of the United States. And he refused to return like more than 100, and 2 of them are missing. It is just a summary of who this man is. I mean, it's just amazing to me. That it's mine, not.
The way that it works, a lot of these presidential museums are where these gifts end up, and they become rotating exhibitions or exhibits in those museums. So you can go to the museum and you can see, what people gave to Bill Clinton if you're in Little Rock, and all the different weird things that have come from foreign leaders, from people visiting. Anything a president gets over a certain amount of money has to be reported, filed, and archived. And that's, and typically also, if a president wants to get or keep something, let's say the Bushes moved back to Houston and they wanted to keep an ashtray that somebody gave them, making that up, they can request that of the archives as a loan, a personal loan, and then they can have it and display it in their home and things like that. There are rules around it that if you follow them, are not very stringent at all, I'm sure. And Trump, of course, is the only person to have all of these unreported gifts, and now, as Jim has pointed out, these missing.
And you know, Michael, that he's putting with it right now.
Oh, there's no question.
Yeah. Well,
right. And when he's done, he's going to relax in a room where that poster or that painting of him is hanging.
Yeah. Do I hit it long? Is Trump strong? Huh?
Yeah, there you go. He does hit it long.
Yeah, entertaining.
Well, so that was one of the stories that you pointed out. And then you also, and I thought this is a really great one. I mean, that's so on brand. Here's something else that's on brand. Trump commissions this report about the election, expecting that the report is going to yield all this information about illegal voting and dead people voting and all this kind of thing. And what did the report actually result in showing?
Well, it showed that in the different states, like in Nevada, where and these are Trump people, okay? They're people hired by Trump. They found like 27 dead voters who had voted. 27. He lost by thousands of votes. Same thing in the other states that he commissioned this report. And not only the report is done by his people, given to him before January 6th. So before the revolt and march on the Capitol, he knew that his own people were telling him clearly that this was not true. And that's really going to hurt him in the trial, I think. And if it ever gets to trial, it's going to hurt him, because one of the questions has always been, what did he know? And did he really believe that he had the election stolen? And this is a document that he commissioned that proves to anybody who reads it that he knew that it wasn't true. And that's going to really hurt him in trial, I think.
And not to mention also, I mean, these are not corroborative numbers, right? So 27 seems like a high number to most officials in Nevada. So even to them, it seems like a high number. And even in Nevada, which probably is among, the least, I would say, by the book when it comes to the dead people voting. I think that it just, it still could be an inflated number, and even the inflated number is embarrassing for the former president.
And it happens regularly too, Mark. Is one of the things that's true is that people vote by mail or something, and then they die. Normally, and that's sort of the normal course of what happens here. And what happens is that they usually count those votes because they voted while they were alive, and then they die. This whole thing of dead voters is really it's not like Chicago in the old days. Okay, and when I covered in Chicago before I learned to cover politics, one of the first big stories I ever did went out and with a list of people who were on the voting list for the Chicago machine, and went to their houses and knocked on the door, and they didn't live there. They either didn't live there or they were dead. That's been kind of taken care of in most cases now. It's not rampant like it used to be.
Yeah, it's the halo effect of that sort of legend that Trump tried to cook up the same way he did all the illegals who were being bussed to various voting districts. And when he actually won the presidency, you'll recall he spent millions of taxpayer money to still back up this lie. I mean, this concoction that there'd been thousands of illegal votes. He spent millions of dollars of taxpayer money to indeed prove that he was full of it. There was
that was a government commission that investigated. He started a government commission that would investigate voter fraud, and they came back and said, well, not there. It's not true.
I mean, I thought one of the cornerstones of his presidency was wasting taxpayer money. This guy who, again, just to back up various ridiculous claims he made or ridiculous ideas he had, the wall among them. I mean, the way that Trump money, just because we're talking about Trump and I've just begun this, I'll just round it out. Trump money was funneled to huge campaign donors to build portions of the wall, even though they weren't wall builders. I mean, the wall thing was ridiculous anyway, but the idea somehow that you would push money to political donors just because they were huge backers of your campaign and they get taxpayer money. And by the way, jacking money for that wall, that didn't follow the protocols. I mean, he essentially didn't get approval for that. He took it. His administration took that money for the wall.
Yeah.
I just say that it's on brand for him to waste. Yeah, it's on.
Bannon pocketed a lot of it too.
But kudos to you, Mark, for finding cornerstones in his presidency.
Yeah. When I said cornerstone, I know it's a. Hey, what's the story with the Hunter Biden lawsuit? He's now going to sue this laptop repair shop.
Yeah, it's great. From the beginning, I've always wondered, how is that legal? How do you, if you leave your laptop at a place to get fixed and you don't pick it up on time because you're in a drug-induced haze, which apparently Hunter Biden was in, how do they have the right to go through your laptop and give it away to Rudy Giuliani and his gang of misfits to publish and send around? How is your property allowed to do that? And finally, Hunter Biden is standing up for himself and suing.
I said this on TYT when it first happened. It's like, how this is not, I remember saying, this is not like a storage unit where they can auction your stuff off after you don't pay your bill for 6 months. This is a place where you drop, this is personal, this is private, and there is no pre-existing surrender of material, not to mention that you can, that you can distribute it because it's personal property. I always wondered this too, and I'm glad to see what's going to happen with this, because if this is inadmissible in any kind of a trial that it would get to, it sort of, kicks a little of the air out of those tires.
Well, let me just ask you, just to follow up on that, the political hay that's being made from this is pretty substantial, though, right? I mean, that's all you hear about is Hunter Biden and the revelations and the, this.
But here's the thing, Mark. I don't know that enough hay is being made of it, right? I mean, this is something that does not seem in polling and in terms of political traction to hold the imagination of a lot of people. First of all, Americans have, when polled, said they find it distasteful to go after, and this includes the Trump children, go after the children of a president in general. Secondly, you now have Republicans, and publicly, someone like Geraldo Rivera, who is, I don't know how to classify him anymore, but he's on Twitter saying there's no there. He's also disparaging Hunter for drug use at the same time, but he's saying that there's no there, either put up or shut up on this thing. There doesn't seem to be, and there isn't a target, with Benghazi, as exhausting as that was, the Republicans were unified about doing as much damage to Hillary Clinton, who seemed to be the next standard bearer of the Democrats, that there was political hay. Here, nobody seems to know what the advantage is unless it gets to the president, and people found out that he did untoward things to help his son. But his son used the name, certainly, as anyone with that name would, as anyone with Bush or Kennedy or anything like that. You almost use it by default without trying to use it. And so I think that this is going to, that people are starting to have a hard time understanding what the political hay is. But yeah, all the hay, if there is any, would be political.
Well, when I talk about political hay, I'm talking about that House Oversight Committee where they're trying to make something of this. You know what I mean? They're trying to draw a relationship, as you have just suggested, between Hunter Biden and his dad. And as you've also just suggested, it's a distasteful aspect of America, and it's not just American politics. I mean, you find it in Hollywood, you find it in business. I mean, the son of whomever is, vice president of the company, even though he spends most days in the Turks and Caicos getting high with his friends. I mean, whatever it is, it's just an aspect of life. So when I say political hay, I'm talking about keeping this non-story. It might be. I mean, it might be distasteful, as I say, but sort of not illegal in the news. That's kind of what I'm talking about.
Yeah, Hunter Biden is a troubled man. Okay, he has had these drug problems, issues with prostitution, but it's really, so what? Okay, there's a lot of troubled people. This one happens to be the son of the president. But if there is no, until there's evidence, and that's what the problem with these hearings is. There's been no evidence. They come on the congressman, especially Jim Jordan, comes out and he makes these overstatements that have no evidence behind them. And he's been called on it by the Democrats. These hearings have backfired on them and will continue to backfire on them until they have a real witness who comes in and says that Hunter Biden got this Chinese contract because his father set him up with this man. When that happens, then we should all pay attention. But until it does, it's just political bull.
It also has to go deeper than that. If he met somebody through his father, because his father was a 36-year senator and an 8-year vice president, he probably met 1,000 people. And if he turned one of those meetings into something, it doesn't mean that there was anything untoward about it either. I mean, it could go to other layers, and Jim's right, until you even make that connection. But even if you make that first connection, it doesn't mean anything unless there is, a paper trail or a witness trail of people saying, yeah, Joe Biden said you better do this or else I'm never going to do this. And just you don't see that there. There doesn't seem to be a very smoking gun here.
And Mark,
sorry, Jim,
just
go.
one thing before we leave. Putin has won the race to indictment with Trump. So today, the International Crime Commission, or whatever it's called in The Hague, has charged Putin with war crimes,
right,
officially, for taking these children of Ukraine, thousands of children. They have rounded up and taken to Russia, kidnapped them, and brought them to Russia. And the International Court has said that is a crime, and there's a warrant for his arrest. Now, I don't know if they're not going to be able to carry that out, probably. But he has won the race with Trump to being indicted.
Yeah, the indictment train is slow moving when it comes to Trump. I mean, there's a lot of circling, and I'd suggest signaling on the part of DAs and these attorneys general. How do you say it, Michael? Attorneys general, right?
Attorneys general, yeah.
Yeah. But I think it does appear that, and the Georgia case probably is the one that stands the best chance. But
you also understand, you want to make an indictment as airtight as you can when it's unprecedented and of a former president, no matter who that is. So deliberate is better than haphazard and going in without, with lots of holes in your story. So I get it a little bit, but it's frustrating to a lot of people as well.
Yeah. It certainly is that.
The New York thing is probably going to be just a misdemeanor.
Plus, there's a statute of limitations aspect to it that may just kind of make it moot. So that's why I was saying George is the one that's really live. If they can, as Michael says, build the case that's airtight enough to make it happen.
Yeah, I think January 6th is going to be a pretty big deal too. I think that he's going to be indicted, and this guy, the special prosecutor, is a serious guy, and when he does indict him, all the holes are going to be filled. And it's going to be an airtight case.
And the former Vice President Pence last week tied the president to it, and that's that's not nothing. His presidential campaign will be nothing, but the fact that there's finally that, what it does is it sort of gives a pass to others to make that claim as well. And when you start chipping away at that wall, then you can make progress along those lines in terms of tying the president to it. It's almost like if even Mike Pence wasn't criticizing the president, people said, I don't have to do it. He was saying, hang Mike Pence. And people were chanting, hang Mike Pence, and he still wouldn't do it. Now that he's done it, I think that it does make it easier for other people to take a more objective look at that.
Guys, thank you so much for giving of your time every Friday. Michael Shure will monitor your bracket, see how you do.
Well, I'm going to start saying very bombastic things. So
you have to change your game a little bit.
We fired our coach, and
ma'am, I'm on the phone.
Yeah. Jim Avila's name on the phone is in play right now. Yeah, center court.
Ma'am, I'm on the phone.
I pointed that out.
Good stuff. Thanks, guys. Appreciate it. Jim Avila, Michael Shure. Thanks so much. All right.
Thanks.
Great to have you back, Jim Avila. Great to have you back, man.
The Mark Thompson Show.
And how about this guy? How about it for Steve Moskowitz? When it comes to taxes, when it comes to government money, when it comes to building a business, when it comes to HR concerns, Steve has a full service business. And there is so much available for you if you reach out to him. Welcome, Steve.
Thanks, Mark. And it's so vitally important because businesses need these things, but they don't need a full-time person doing it for them like in a bigger company. And what we offer is we give them just everything they need, but at a fraction of the cost they otherwise have to pay. And we're all about, we want to see our clients become successful. I want to see them become bigger businesses, more prosperous, and we can help them there. And certainly we're happy to help them pay less taxes, but there's a lot more to it than that. There's so much that we have, which is good business and saves you taxes, which is good business and helps you grow your business. And we're there for you, including, sometimes somebody wants to pick up the phone and talk to somebody about something. We're here for you. And all you have to do is pick up that phone, whether it's something good like, hey, I just had a bunch of money come in. How can I minimize the taxes on that? Or, the IRS knocked on the door, or they're going to knock on the door. And how can we stop them from interfering with us? Like a call I took yesterday. And all that can be done. All you have to do is just come to us and ask us.
The enforcement schedule at the IRS, the enforcement division being staffed up, it's going to hit us. It's not going to hit the top 1/10 of 1%. It's not going to hit the super rich.
That very top, they're buddies with the people that make the laws. That's just a different world. And you know what? You and I will never deal with that, or at least I won't. I'm happy to deal with regular people that have regular, normal businesses and help them grow them and have a good living. The mega wealthy, they have their other friends.
Steve Moskowitz can be your advocate, and believe me, you need an advocate. Reach Steve at 888-TAX-DEAL, 888-TAX-DEAL, 888-TAX-DEAL. Also online, MoskowitzLLP.com. In fact, just last night, I got an email saying, hey, I just am emailing Steve through his website, and I've been back and forth, and I'm going to email him again tomorrow. So I applaud those of you who've watched the show and realized that Steve is at least worth an inquiry, and then a real relationship can be birthed from that. MoskowitzLLP.com. Steve is 888-TAX-DEAL. Thanks, Steve. Have a great weekend.
Thanks, Mark. You too.
Steve Moskowitz, everyone. Yeah. Right on.
The Mark Thompson Show.
We're in the middle of Mark's Madness. We'll update that after the news, right, Commissioner? Or did you want to do? What do you want to do? What do you want to do?
Yeah, let's get to the news quickly. Then we'll do a little quick update. Then we got the Culture Blaster coming up next.
Yeah, Michael Snyder. I love it. All right, Kim's news next, and then the Culture Blaster. Smash the like button like a boss while you're at it.
Smashed it with your iron rod.
Yeah, however you want to get it done. Love it.
The Mark Thompson Show.
On the Mark Thompson Show, I'm Kim McAllister. This report sponsored by tax attorney Steve Moskowitz at 888-TAX-DEAL. Let's start with this fine-looking fella. Security preparations are underway in New York City for a possible indictment of former President Trump. News 4 New York reporting law enforcement agencies are now conducting preliminary security assessments in and around Manhattan Criminal Court. The preparations happening should Trump be charged in connection with alleged hush money payments to porn star Stormy Daniels. First Republic Bank's decline is weighing on Wall Street today. Its shares have fallen by more than 25% at times, and that has led to a decline in the broader market, with the major averages down at least 0.5% or more. The drop comes despite 11 banks depositing a total of $30 billion into First Republic after depositors pulled billions of dollars out of that San Francisco-based bank. Here's a response. Earlier, we mentioned that there's an arrest warrant out for Vladimir Putin. Well, now it turns out Russia is coming out saying they will not be deterred by an arrest warrant for Vladimir Putin regarding the war in Ukraine. The International Criminal Court issued this warrant, but a foreign ministry spokeswoman said ICC decisions have no meaning for Russia. None. Kremlin spokesman Dmitry Peskov said the accusations from the court were outrageous and unacceptable. There is a sentencing hearing going on today for a teenager convicted of carrying out a school shooting at a Michigan high school. The sentencing is actually scheduled for June. The hearing is required before this gentleman is sentenced to life in prison without parole. He pleaded guilty to charges against him in October to killing 4 students. Some Sierra ski lifts are absolutely buried. You can see here Mammoth Mountain. They had 618 inches of snow at the lodge, 780 at the summit, enough to almost bury entire houses. Other ski resorts in California reporting more than 600 inches of snow for the season. Sugar Bowl at 695 inches, Palisades Tahoe at 662, Dodge Ridge Mountain 660, and Kirkwood at 648. Those are the top snow getters, but
those are sick numbers, God.
I'm telling you. Yeah.
So how long do they think they're going to be skiing?
Well, look, I mean, I don't even know if you can get up there with the
oh no,
I
don't mean
lift
now,
looking
now
like that.
It might, right now you can't, but I'm saying they could be skiing through May.
Absolutely. Yeah, there's no estimate that I've heard, but that has happened in the past, so maybe even longer, depending.
Yeah, there you go. You're a snowboarder, aren't you, Albert? You're a snowboarder, I think. Albert's probably a snowboarder. Do you ski or snowboard, Kim?
I like to ski, but I don't get to do it very often.
Yeah, nor do I. How about you, Albert? You're a snowboarder,
I'm very average
right?
at both, so I just try whatever I feel at the time.
Albert, is there anything you're not average at that you would say?
Whoever is producing this thing has no idea what they're doing.
That was a late hit out of bounds. It was sitter, Albert. I couldn't let it go. I'm sorry.
No, the bar's set low, Mark. The bar's always set low. That's a compliment, actually.
You're the best. All right. Go ahead, Kim. I apologize.
Okay. No. Lastly, we've got the story out of Alaska. The 2023 Iditarod Trail Sled Dog Race going down in history as the first time Alaska natives have swept the podium as the top 3 finishers. First place finisher Ryan Reddington, second place finisher Pete Kaiser, third place finisher Richie Deal, all Alaska natives. Reddington is an Inupiat, while Kaiser is Yupik, and Deichel is Dianina. So all native tribe members. So
well, let me just say this, and I'm sorry to have to. I am for the native tribes, and I certainly applaud native peoples, and I think they've been screwed in every imaginable way in this country and indigenous peoples across the globe. That said, to use the oft-used expression.
No, I knew this was coming. I knew it.
Iditarod is a horrible, horrible tradition. It is animal cruelty in the extreme. The animals and the dogs that are celebrated as such champions regularly die. They either die along the way, or they die or contract all manner of illnesses in the months and years that follow if they survive. It is a horrible, horrible tradition. One of the many horrible. I put it up there with bullfighting. It is an awful thing, and they should get rid of the Iditarod. So there you go. I'm
Good day, sir.
All right. Yes. Okay.
Yeah. Okay. So let's end the newscast on a more up note. Happy St. Patrick's Day.
Wow.
Kim, how are you?
Yeah. Today is St. Patrick's Day, named for the patron saint of Ireland.
Let me tell you what I hate about St. Patrick's Day.
Why are you
If
yelling?
you could, I'll take an itemized list. It's the day St. Patrick is believed to have died around 490 AD. There are many legends about him, including that he drove the snakes out of Ireland and used the shamrock to explain the Trinity. Ireland came to celebrate his day with religious services and feasts. American cities with large numbers of Irish immigrants staged the most extensive celebrations and elaborate parades. Boston held its first St. Patrick's Day parade in 1737, followed by New York City in 1762. And many cities across the U.S. joined, adding traditions of their own, including Chicago, which has been dyeing the river green there since 1962 to mark the holiday. So, St. Patrick's Day. I don't know if you guys celebrate this, but what I understand is that more Americans celebrate St. Patrick's Day than they do in Ireland. They don't really celebrate it in Ireland.
Albert, I'm guessing you celebrate it a lot.
Any excuse, Mark. It's like throwing a 1-year-old birthday party. We're not there for the 1-year-old.
It's fantastic.
It really is special.
Yeah. So,
Albert is training for St. Patrick's Day year-round. Yeah.
Well, as one does, you have to have
Sure.
the green beer. Some people do the green eggs. It's all that. So this report sponsored by tax attorney Steve Moskowitz.
What's a guilty pleasure you have?
That's exactly.
For more than 30 years, Steve has been helping people out, individuals and businesses with their taxes. So if you need help, you can get it from Steve Moskowitz at 888-TAX-DEAL and MoskowitzLLP.com. I'm Kim McAllister on The Mark Thompson Show.
The Mark Thompson Show.
It was great. I loved it.
How would you handle this? We could try ignoring it, sir.
Morning.
You cannot say you love your country.
Where are my weed smokers at?
Stay at home and get baked.
Thank you all. Thank you. Thank you. All of the collected many that have gathered for Mark's Madness. We are in the middle of it, and I'll tell you what.
I can't believe it.
It's on
Mark's
fire,
Madness.
baby. You know it. 2 drops go up against each other every hour through Mark's Madness. This hour, what are the drops this hour, Albert?
Ma'am, I'm on the phone.
Ma'am, I'm on the phone.
Ma'am, I'm on the phone.
Goes up against...
Whoever is producing this thing has no idea what they're doing.
Again, you vote either for Ma'am, I'm on the phone or the producer. And you can vote till midnight.
Ma'am, I'm on the phone.
In fact, the producer has...
Whoever is producing this thing has no idea what they're doing.
Typically,
It's made it pretty far. I think it's made it to Sweet 16s and I think 1 Elite 8. So
yeah, Albert, the commissioner of Mark's Madness, has put the producer has no idea as the 8th seed, and the Ma'am, I'm on the phone, which is a new entry from Jim Avila, as you know, it just literally was minted about a week ago, is the 25th seed. So typically you would expect it to lose, but I also feel as though it has Cinderella qualities. Ma'am, I'm on the phone. Might go much deeper, Albert. You know what I mean?
I mean, just having the matchup on a Friday while Jim is on has Cinderella aspects. It's like a college basketball team getting hot. They're hitting their threes.
Right.
They're not known for their defense, but their defense is stepping up. It's those type of things. It feels like that.
Exactly right. And I think the fact that we now make it clear that it's Jim Avila saying, ma'am, I'm on the phone, I think that's because people love Jim Avila too. So I don't know. But I mean, the producer
Whoever is producing this thing has no idea what they're doing.
I don't know, man. That's a pretty strong one. So the voting goes on now in YouTube and in the chat, and then it will continue until midnight in the community section of our channel. You go to our channel, it'll say home, videos, live, and community. Click on community, and that will be a great place to vote and continue to accept your voting until midnight tonight. The commissioner puts it all together, and we'll have the results on Monday. So that's the very latest. Oh, there it is. Yeah, you can see what it will look like. Right. If you're watching on YouTube, that's where it is. How to find it. All right. Love our Fridays. For this man, you can find him in the Marina Times, his many musings about all things from music, television, film, and the clubs. You know, it used to be a big deal in the clubs. He comes and goes on a rainbow. Michael Snyder, everyone. What up, Michael Snyder?
Sure and begorra, Mark. The happiest of St. Patty's days to you, Marco Thompson, and to you, Kim McAllister. Wait, is that an Irish McAllister or a Scottish McAllister?
That's
I'm not
Scottish.
really sure.
Yeah.
Forget about it. I rescind my happy Patty's Day to you.
Kim, how are you?
Honestly, it's amazing. I come on a rainbow. I am the pot of gold.
Well, it's, yes.
There's never been anything like this.
Hey, you know, on St. Patrick's Day, it's a lot stranger to be kissing the Blarney Stone than to be getting stoned, spewing Blarney, and kissing strangers. I'm just saying.
What are you talking about?
Hey,
I love it.
It's a big party day.
Oh, my God.
Where are my weed smokers at?
Right, yeah.
Anyway, speaking of Mark's Madness,
yes, sir. You have a bracket, by the way.
I do have a bracket, and I am fully on board with Ma'am. I'm on the phone. I'm reaching out to my Friday brother, Jim Avila, and saying I am totally on board with your drop. I love that. We'll see where it goes. I'm excited about this year's iteration of Mark's Madness.
Very good, and you lead us off with iteration, a ding word. Thank you.
I should have my own drop because of all the dings, but maybe every ding, it's every time you hear a ding, Michael gets a drop. It's sort of like that. It's sort of a little, kind of.
Tell your little friends, the dreams do come true.
Exactly.
It's a wonderful drop. I got a little reference there to an old movie. Speaking of movies, let's get to movies.
Let's do it.
We've talked about this in the past. There's been a big merger between Warner Brothers and Discovery, and that's impacted Warner Brothers' product. I say product with all due understanding that that's what we're talking about. It's an industry. It's the movie industry. Anyway, from the entertainment media that this has caused a big shakeup there, and it's included the gutting of HBO Max's programming, specifically or especially DC Comics inspired stuff. The nearly completed Batgirl movie, we've discussed it. It was spiked. The superhero shows Titans and Doom Patrol on HBO, both canceled with a half season left to be aired somewhere. And the underperforming DC Comics movie unit is being completely overhauled by a new creative executive team, one of whom is James Gunn, the screenwriter-director of Guardians of the Galaxy for Marvel, and he did Suicide Squad, the movie, and the Peacemaker TV show for DC. And they have been clever and exciting, and so people are hopeful, us superhero fans. The plan is for a unified DC movie and TV universe, but the reinvention is being preceded by 3 already-in-the-can movies they were afraid to spike, one of which is Shazam! Fury of the Gods, opening today. And there's also an upcoming Flash movie and an upcoming Aquaman movie, and then they're supposed to start anew. But the question is, will anybody in these other movies transition to the new iteration? Hey, we got an iteration in there again.
We already dinged it, so
I know, so don't even. So we'll see. But this one movie, Shazam! Fury of the Gods, which is a sequel to 2019's Shazam, does again feature Zachary Levi and various other cast members from the original to continue the story of Billy Batson, an orphan in a Philadelphia group home with a number of other orphans who are all being watched over by a pair of kindly foster parents. In case you don't know, Shazam was developed from the long-running Fawcett Comics knockoff of Superman from the 1940s. There were all these legal issues. He was the original Captain Marvel, so Marvel Comics got into a tizzy about who owns the name Captain Marvel. They rebranded this character, a big muscular guy in a big red suit, Shazam. And by the way, his enemies in the comics, all the way back to the 40s, referred to him as the Big Red Cheese, likely because he's a muscular guy in a red suit with a kind of endearing smile. But, the legal rambling and wrangling aside, the name Shazam comes from the magic word that transforms good-natured kid Billy Batson, played in the movies by Asher Angel, into the seemingly adult powerhouse Shazam, played by Levy, even though the character of Billy / Shazam preceded the Tom Hanks movie Big. This is very much the same kind of kid in a grown man's body, only with superpowers. It's like a wish fulfillment thing. And you got your supervillains and a whole family of foster kids get to share Billy's powers, which by the way, were granted by a wizard in need of a champion to fight the forces of darkness.
Wow.
So in this installment, the antagonists versus Shazam and his family are the Daughters of Atlas. And they are played by Helen Mirren, Lucy Liu, and Rachel Zegler. So a little star power here.
Yeah.
The wizard is again played by Jimon Honsu. So the Daughters of Atlas are angry. They're fallen gods whose power was taken from them, and they want to steal power from Billy and his foster siblings. That's the basic crux of the story. And, everybody's trying to keep their eyes from rolling amid tons of computer-generated hoo-ha and mythic creatures, which, by the way, start to pummel a viewer after a while. This is just not as focused, fresh, and giddy as the first Shazam, which presented kind of a charming origin story, but it has its moments as a kid-friendly, fun-sized bargain matinee, which, by the way, was directed by David F. Sandberg, the way a ringmaster might oversee a herd of bulky circus animals.
Yeah, there's a lot going on, it sounds like.
Way too much going on, but there you go. It's cluttered as hell, even more so than the Shazamale's Rock of Eternity lair. And yeah, for cognition and any sort of emotional investment, you will need to have seen the first one. We talk about this.
Okay.
You know, you can't escape that aspect of these things, right?
What?
So anyway, you want to understand.
Yeah, go ahead.
Excuse
Get
me,
your water.
I need a little sip of water.
Yeah, please.
What the hell is going on in the United States of
yeah,
America?
Really, what the hell is going on in this movie?
Anyway, you need
Michael?
to understand the rules of the character, the relationships, and those around him. And
already, I feel like I'm meeting with my lawyer to talk about this stinking movie. I mean,
so anyway,
enough already.
by the way, I got to say there is egregious product placement for Skittles candy here. Taste the rainbow. Actually, more like take the cash. You know what I'm saying?
Applause for Skittles, and egregious is a ding word.
If it's frenetic, occasionally amusing,
Frenetic is a
inoffensive.
ding word. Yeah.
It's something aimed at DC Comics fan. There are unbilled cameos, post-credit sequences. If it's your thing, it's in theaters, but it does pale next to the first of the two Shazam films.
All right. What else do you have?
Let's get back down to earth. I really feel like the need to, even though I am superhero boy.
Yeah.
Lovers of real-life murder mysteries, like Courtney and yourself and many of our listeners and viewers, especially serial killings that were not conclusively solved, may want to seek out the new and somewhat engrossing feature, Boston Strangler.
Oh.
It's about the two female newspaper reporters who covered the string of stranglings that targeted a series of women in the Boston area in the 1960s.
Sure.
These murders baffled the cops and terrified the citizenry. And through hindsight, we see that the women most dedicated to investigating the case were either dismissed or derided by fellow journalists, by local politicians, and by the police for much of their attempt to dig up the truth about this death-dealing phantom that they named the Boston Strangler.
That's not fake. That's real.
There have been other dramatizations of the story, including the one with Tony Curtis as prime suspect Albert DeSalvo, but this latest docudrama tells us that there was much more to the murders than the authorities thought when it all went down. Keira Knightley, quite good as Loretta McLaughlin, the style reporter whose yen for covering more serious matters leads her to basically realize that a number of area killings are interrelated. And Carrie Coon is also impressive as the savvy and hard-nosed reporter Gene Cole, who partners with Loretta to try and discover the mysterious culprit behind the deadly crimes.
By the way, as I understand it, there's this sense that it was a bunch of prostitutes who were killed or whatever, but that's not the case.
Absolutely not. A lot of ordinary older women and then a few others. I have to say that this first look at the misogyny that dogged the reporters aside,
misogyny is a ding word. Go ahead.
Boston Strangler isn't the most tension-filled account you're going to see about this topic, but as written and directed by Mark Ruskin in a workmanlike fashion, it does slowly draw you in. The cast, which includes Chris Cooper as the editor who lets Loretta and Jean take on the Strangler assignment, and Alessandro Nivola as a sympathetic local police detective, they sell the seriousness of the criminal inquiry, and the story itself remains compelling many years after it happened. This is on Hulu exclusively, so and it's solid work by all involved, and it's a fascinating story if you recollect the Boston Strangler.
Is it a series or a movie?
It's a movie.
Okay, good. All right, it's on Hulu.
Let's wrap the movie coverage up today with Moving On. So soon after they appeared in the clown show that was the bogus, barely inspired by a true story, sports comedy 80 for Brady, I was a bit apprehensive about seeing another team-up of Jane Fonda and Lily Tomlin. Nonetheless, I watched the gal's top line, Moving On, a dark, mildly amusing comedy about the bonds of friendship, the potential reclamation of lost love, the burdens of aging, and the morality of revenge. And I was pleasantly surprised that
reclamation is a ding word.
It wasn't a chore to watch. So even if it's a lightweight endeavor, all aspects of the story were dealt with in such a way that it never felt too labored. And Fonda and Tomlin make for a delightful, often prickly pair this time out.
What is it about, Michael?
Fonda is Claire, a divorced grandmother who travels from Ohio to L.A. to attend the funeral of her best friend. It turns out that for many years, she has harbored ill will toward her late friend's husband, played with noxious glee by Malcolm McDowell. In fact, she would like to kill the smug bastard, and she tries to enlist another dear friend of the deceased, Evelyn.
Noxious is a ding word.
Evelyn, a former classical cellist played by Tomlin. Although Claire and Evelyn have been estranged, their mutual hatred of the McDowell character brings them back together. And
Estranged is a ding word.
Amid all of this, Claire finds herself reconnecting with her first husband, now a widower himself, and played by the ever suave Richard Roundtree. None of this is particularly groundbreaking or profound.
It's quite the cast, though.
Moving on is just solid stuff. It's handily written and directed by Paul Weitz, the guy behind the intimate dramedies About a Boy and In Good Company. So, this is a talented director and writer, and it's certainly elevated by a quartet of reliable pros. Still at the top of their games, McDowell, Roundtree, and especially Fonda and Tomlin. And it absolutely dispelled the stench of 80 for Brady. Moving On is available in theaters this weekend.
Wow. There you go. He likes Moving On. I mean, he doesn't love it, but he said, yeah, he's really surprised at how it really hangs together and is good. That's the Fonda Tomlin thing you just heard about.
Indeed.
Boston Strangler on a Hulu. He really likes that. Good performances and a story very well told about the women who investigated the Boston Strangler story as it was gripping the Boston area. Yeah. Shazam, Fury of the Gods. He said, if you got to see the other Shazams first. But if you've seen them, this is okay.
It's okay. Again, damning with faint praise. I wish I could be more enthusiastic, but it just we've been here before. We'll see what this refurbishing of the DC movies and TV shows does to the quality of the work and also to audience interest. By the way, Mandalorian season 3 on Disney Plus kind of went off the rails with the most recent episode, but I still enjoy watching Pedro Pascal as this Ronin-like samurai-like wielder of swords and what have you. In the Star Wars universe, Ted Lasso Series 3 kicked off recently. I enjoy this show very much. It's a feel-good thing. It's won a bunch of Emmys.
Sure.
We know what it's about. It's a fish out of water.
Right.
A football coach from America directing a soccer team. And the Perry Mason Series 2 has been as wonderful as a tremendous first series set in the 30s, the way the original books were, with the incredibly talented Matthew Rhys as Perry Mason. And L.A. is a character in the series like it is in Bosch and like New Orleans is in Your Honor.
Where is Perry Mason?
It's on HBO and HBO Max.
Okay.
Thoroughly enjoyable. That's my TV chunk.
Yeah, I love that. And lastly, will you explain what happened with Everything Everywhere All at Once in that movie? I never really understood it.
Oh, yeah, no, I wish I could, but I won't. By the way, my current column in the Marina Times is all about TV shows that are adapted from real life stories, particularly two British series, Stonehouse and Litvinenko. One is on BritBox, Stonehouse. The other is on Amazon Prime. And you can read all about these shows, which are incredibly well made and incredibly worth watching in the Marina Times. If you don't get the paper itself, marinatimes.com. Thank you for reading. And as always, thank you for the forum, Mark.
Yeah, I really do enjoy having you in. I thought a very thorough report today, if I might say. Very little left aside. You can read him in the Marina Times. You can find him here on Fridays. He does come and go on a rainbow.
Go bra, everybody.
Yeah, happy St. Paddy's Day. I am sadly reaching the end of the week here, Kim. We're done with most everything, I think. It's sadly,
Kim, how are you?
I feel like I've left some things on the table, and yet I've left it all on the field. I will mention this, and I did see it in the chat, so let me put my credibility glasses on while you tell everybody what's on Nikki's show.
Coming up on Nikki's show, we've got an LA Times reporter talking about the changes coming up at San Quentin State Prison. It's the Bay Area COVID anniversary. We're going to play some ukulele with Aloha Friday, Stephen Espanola, a famed Hawaiian musician coming on the show. And we'll have some green beer or maybe some green drinks. We're not sure for this St. Patrick's Day. And then we're going to talk about movies like we just did here with Tim Sika. Will be coming on the show to do some movie reviews as well. So that's coming up here at noon on the Nikki Maduro Show.
Look forward to that. I want to respond to this, which I think is a reasonable take. I was talking about how the Iditarod is I think it's an awful thing for what it puts the dogs through. And I mentioned that dogs die. I mentioned that dogs are injured. Mentioned dogs contract all manner of ailments related to this. They breed these dogs specifically for this, which I really don't approve of. I must tell you, I come from a place philosophically that is against using animals in this way. I also, as you know, am against animals being used in the agricultural industry for food, and I understand that that's just the way we do it in this culture. And okay, so I don't, I'm not a jihadist, and I don't mention it to you much at all, I don't think, relative to all the other things we talk about. But so now let's get back to the Iditarod. But I wanted to kind of tell you that that's what informs a lot of my opinion on issues like this. And Colleen says, Mark, come to Alaska and meet the mushers and dogs. Native Alaskans have been mushing sustainably for 10,000 years into the atmosphere. Driving a car is far more deadly and worse for the environment.
I don't think you were concerned about the environment as much as you were about the animals involved, right?
Thank you. So that is my concern. First of all, I appreciate that it's a tradition, and I appreciate that it goes back thousands of years, perhaps. There are a lot of things that were done thousands of years ago. Slavery was one of them. We kind of outgrew it, It's not the tradition that I have an issue with. And of course, it's not the Alaskan culture and heritage. I just went off multiple times this week about this drilling in Alaska, which I think is outrageous and doesn't respect Native peoples there who are lining up by the scores to protest it. These dogs will actually refuse to run if they want to. The musher has no choice but to stop. And they often, what does it say? Scratch based on
caring for the dogs.
Caring for the dogs. Yeah. I see. In other words, they'll actually scratch themselves. They're scratched from the race because their dogs won't run.
They forfeit, right.
Colleen, I will make this pledge to you. By the way, we're in the middle. I'll get to this in a second, Albert. I know we have to wrap up. I will make this pledge to you, Colleen, that over the weekend, I will read more about Iditarod, and I will read more about the way these animals are treated. I know it's an exciting thing and a fun thing. I'd suggest in general, though, the dogs don't have the choice to run that we might think they have. I'll just leave it at that. As Kim has said, and she was correct, I identify it on grounds involving the humanity of it as opposed to whether or not it's good for the environment or whether it's CO2 footprint. Okay, that's all. But thank you for that, and I make that pledge to you that I will look into it further because I, don't want you to ever think that I'm just, spewing stuff without a clue. Albert, now, please help me with this Mark's Madness. We have an update, and I think, let me see. Yes!
Now,
I can't believe it!
Mark's Madness!
It's virtually a dead heat. Mark, I'm watching on replay. I see no community on YouTube. I see live, share, report. Well, you'll see community. You should see it, Albert, right?
It'll be on the channel. So you're on the YouTube video on the live stream. Just click where you see the Mark Thompson Show. You'll see the mug. Click the mug, and you'll go to the correct.
Click the mug, and exactly as Albert has said, you'll see the different categories. So when you see live, you'll see live. You'll see videos. You'll see home, you'll see videos, you'll see live, and then you'll see community. But you got to click on the mug to get that, okay? That's the way that works. And that's where you can vote. In the community column, you'll see the polls. And click on one or the other, the one you want to advance the next round, and then you'll see the percentages in real time, at least there in the community. And we are in the middle of a dead heat. Producer has no idea what he's doing. is by no means.
Whoever is producing this thing has no idea what they're doing.
Gonna run away with this. Ma'am, I'm on the phone is holding its own.
Ma'am,
and
I'm on the phone.
I'm telling you that, ma'am, I'm on the phone.
Ma'am, I'm on the phone.
Because it's Avila. I believe, ma'am, I'm on the phone may win this round. Wow. Dead heat. Exactly. Dell gets it. It is a dead heat. That's what it's going to look like when you are on YouTube and you want to vote. You see, you go in, you click on the mug, as Albert said, and you'll see Mark Thompson Show, our whole channel. Home, videos, shorts, live, playlists, and community. That's what you want. You go into community, and there you see, ma'am, I'm on the phone in virtually a dead heat. With the producer,
whoever is producing this thing has no idea what they're doing.
But, ma'am, I'm on the phone with a strong showing. This is scary, Albert.
Ma'am, I'm on the phone.
I know Albert's rooting for ma'am, I'm on the phone because he doesn't like that producer.
My Friday can't get any better.
This is pretty big. So you've got until midnight to continue with the voting and get your vote in. Do I have any shout-outs to do, Albert? And I don't want to neglect anybody or anything. Joe, thank you, Joe Fong. Big shout-out.
Big shout-out.
For $10, throw it into our virtual chip tip jar. And Buck, same story. Thank you, Buck, for a $5. Appreciate
Big
that.
shout-out.
Yeah, Vivian El Shawa for $10. Thank you, Vivian.
Thank you.
Right on, Viv. You know, we like you. We like everybody.
Thanks to all the people.
I'll tell you. This show has had it all. It's had controversy. It's had competition.
Had a little bit of irritation, annoyance.
Yeah, it has a. Well, that is. We have to have a little irritation and annoyance in every show. It is true. But I appreciate everybody who supports us all the ways you do. Run over to Patreon if you want to become an ongoing supporter of this show. TheMarkThompsonShow.com.
Ma'am, I'm on the phone.
You can find the click-throughs too.
Whoever is producing this thing has no idea what they're doing.
This is going to be a photo finish between these two. Yeah. Happy St. Patty's Day, everybody. We left it all on the field today. I feel good about it. Head over to Nikki's show next.
I'm Shadow Stevens for The Mark Thompson Show. Bye-bye.
Love you all. Kim hosts on Monday. That's right. It's going to be fun. Have a good weekend, everybody. Bye-bye.